It is another edition of the Wrap-Up Show with John Schaefer and Jim Russell. We're presented by our friend Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel and you're a Padres fan, what are you waiting for? We have year-round exclusive Padres content. Look at Jim. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Like these videos. And follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Before we get to today's topic, would Ozzie Guillen be a good fit as the next Padres manager? Let's tell you a little bit more about our buddy Mark Nimitz, because if you're looking for auto, home, renters, life insurance in San Diego, you got to turn to a San Diegan. That's Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. He has over a decade of experience. He's helping people like you and me every single day find insurance products that are perfect for them and their families, for you and your families. And what separates Mark from the competition is his customer service and his communication. Just click the link down below in the description. You'll get to Mark's website. Let him help you and your family with your insurance needs.
And if you want to reach out to Mark, it's very simple. Everything that you need to know is right above my head. His phone number and his email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. That's mnimitz@farmersagent.com.
Ozzie Guillen, could he be the next manager of the San Diego Padres? A very intriguing name. Dennis Lin, first to report it from The Athletic, that the Padres have in fact interviewed Guillen for their vacant managerial job. So we've heard about Mike Schill. We've heard about now Guillen. We've heard about Luis Rojas as well. Ozzie Guillen won a World Series with the White Sox. That was a long time ago, nearly 2 decades ago. Had a lengthy playing career, Jim, as a shortstop of the big leagues. You'd think that would be advantageous. Obviously bilingual as well. What do you think about Ozzie Guillen, the 57-year-old, is potentially the next manager of the San Diego Padres?
I want him now. I want him right now. I want Ozzie Guillen to be the next manager. And this is 100% being selfish. And why I say that is because regardless of if Ozzie Guillen's a good manager or not, he's going to be amazing to talk about. No matter what happens, Ozzie Guillen will always give you a soundbite. He'll always tell you how it is. He's never going to he'll give you the company line, but it's going to be just so fascinating and amazing if Ozzie Guillen would be the manager, because I feel like when things would go bad, he'll tell you the truth. He's not going to shy away from the actual truth of what's actually happening with this team. So from a selfish standpoint, like, I want Ozzie Guillen right now. He is, to me, the perfect media manager. Now, are we looking for a good manager for sound bites, or are we looking for a good manager to lead this team to a World Series? I would not be opposed to having Ozzie Guillen in that room. He would definitely demand respect, no doubt about it. He has a close relationship with Manny Machado. He's a guy that has won a World Series. He would definitely communicate well with the Latin players on the team. He has a strong voice, something that this team has lacked from its manager. And he's going to tell you how it is in that clubhouse. Every single player, if you're messing up, you're going to know about it. And he's not going to be afraid to tell you. So there's things here. Yes, 1% want him to be the manager. Selfish for us, because I think it would be amazing to cover Ozzie Guillen. And then for the team aspect, if he's the right manager to lead the team to a World Series, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I think here's why I think he's the right fit for the Padres right now. He's not the first-time manager. He's not the 70-year-old manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's already won. One of my prerequisites was winning as a manager, and he's done that. He also has the credentials of a playing career that was 15 or 16 years. Most of his playing career was as a shortstop. I would find that to be very desirable if I was the San Diego Padres, knowing that Fernando Tatis Jr. wants to be the shortstop of the future for this franchise. He was signed by the Padres initially. So there is a little bit of lineage there going back 40 years. My biggest question mark, Jim, is the analytics angle and element in baseball. He hasn't managed since 2012. So much has changed in the last decade. I mean, so much. More analytically has changed in the last 10 years than had changed in the 50 years prior, probably to 2010 or 2011. But under the assumption that he could work with the front office and carry out, to a large extent, their goals and initiatives, I don't see a lot of negatives here. I understand he hasn't managed since 2012. I know it went completely haywire in Miami. That 2012 season was an absolute debacle. They were supposed to be great. They were awful. He was outspoken. They fired him with 3 or 4 years still left on that deal. So that didn't end well, but I do know he won a lot of games with the White Sox. I know 2005 is a long time ago, but among the candidates, again, Luis Rojas, who's got 2 years as a big league manager and hasn't finished higher than third place as a manager. Mike Schilt, who's got 4 seasons, including the last 3 with the Cardinals, where he's been in the postseason. I think that would be, that's someone that should carry some consideration for the position as well. But I think Ozzie Guillen, in terms of a guy that's checking most of the boxes, the playing career, the managerial career, he's not too young, he's not too old. He can appeal to your Latin players. He would demand respect and credibility. I feel like he's checking more boxes than most of these candidates so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, he has not managed. he has not. he has not managed since 2012. But again, he's been around the game. He's the analyst for the White Sox TV broadcast. I think that's what he's doing right now. It didn't end well in Miami, but that situation, like, it's just that it is what it is. What it is. It just wasn't a good situation. He does not have any prior working experience with AJ Preller, so that is new. We've been talking about guys that have ties to Preller. Well, Ozzie Guillen doesn't have any ties to AJ Preller, but it's about getting a guy in that seat that can navigate a team through a 162 game season, through the ups and downs, demand respect in that clubhouse from the top guys, even from, the bottom guys as well, have a strong voice, not afraid to tell it how it is. And I just described Ozzie Guillen. That's who he is. He's not going to shy away from things that need to be said. If something needs to be said in that clubhouse to fix a problem, like, he's going to say it. And I feel like that was what was missing with Tingler, with Andy Green. They might have said it, but how much weight did it really have from those guys? Not a lot, but you put Ozzie Guillen in there, former player, not a cup of coffee guy, won a World Series with the White Sox, led the team to a World Series. Albeit, yeah, it was a long time ago. But the main thing with Ozzie that I like the most, he's a no BS guy. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to tell it to your face. He's not going to go behind your back. And also, with that said, he's going to have your back 100%, no matter what. I feel like Ozzie Guillen is that type of guy. You go after my player? No. That's not flying around here. Like, I'm going to protect these guys at all costs. If Tatis swings at 3-0 and you don't like it, too effing bad, right? That's my guy. And I feel like Ozzie Guillen would be that type of manager that no matter what, he's always going to have his players back, regardless of the situation. And that's what I love.
Listen, is there a risk with hiring Ozzie Guillen? Of course there is.
Yes.
There's a risk with everyone. There's a risk with Bruce Bochy that he's closer to retirement than you'd be led to believe. And maybe he's only going to be in for a year or two. Or there's a risk with Ron Washington because of, some off-field transgressions. There's a risk with everyone. There was a risk with Jace Tingler. He wasn't an experienced manager. There was a risk with Andy Green. He wasn't an experienced manager that had a cup of coffee in the big leagues. So is there a risk? Of course there is. And no matter who AJ Preller hires, there will be some risk associated with it. He needs to find the right man to manage this clubhouse right now. And he needs to be concerned with winning in 2022. He can't hire someone that isn't capable of winning with this team in 2022. We spoke to Skip Schumacher within the last day, and we'll link to that interview in the description and right here on the wrap-up show right now. Skip Schumacher said this team is World Series ready right now. And he took some accountability for what happened, like the players have and like Jace Tingler did, and maybe to some extent AJ Preller did. They didn't get it right in the second half of the season. That doesn't mean that it's a complete rebuild project and they're so far away from the World Series. It feels far right now when you're watching the Braves and the Astros in the World Series, but the Braves won 88 games this year. The Padres won 79, and they should have won a lot more than that, let's be honest, considering that second half collapse. Find the right man for today. I'm not worried about 5 years from today. If Ozzie Guillen is the right fit, I don't care. I personally don't care about the issues that popped up in Miami in 2012. I personally don't care about him being outspoken. I mean, I understand that there are consequences with some of the words you use, and he's had to deal with some of those consequences throughout the course of his career. But he also should receive a lot of credit for the job he did. I mean, the White Sox were the Cubs or the Red Sox, Jim. They didn't win. They were cursed more so than the Padres are now. The White Sox
Yeah.
were 80 something years from a World Series. That was a cursed franchise that he won with. So he has that track record. The Padres want to win. He's won before. Again, if you get Bruce Bochy, I think you probably want Bruce Bochy. If you can't, then Ozzie Guillen's got to be right at the top of the list.
Yeah, and if you bring in Ozzie Guillen, you got to let him bring his guys in. You can't, and we've seen a little bit like the hiring of a pitching coach, like that's a pretty big position. Now, granted, maybe he went over this with Ozzie because it was reported that they interviewed Ozzie last week. This wasn't happening today. Like Dennis said that they interviewed him last week, and they've essentially locked up this new pitching coach 2 days ago, yesterday. I forget when it was, but maybe they already talked to Ozzie about this and he signed off on it. Maybe they've already talked to Luis Rojas about this and he signed off on it. Maybe he talked to Mike Schilt about this and he signed off on it. That's fine. But if he continues to hire the staff before the manager, I don't like that. That's why if you bring in Ozzie Guillen, you bring in Mike Schilt, you bring in Luis Rojas, you have to give them their own guys. And by give them their own guys, I mean let them go out and bring in who they want, their own guys. Yes, you can help build the rest of the staff, but you can't do everything, AJ. You need to let Ozzie, and is Ozzie okay with Preller, hiring most of the staff? I would doubt that. But if he is, then okay, great. But if he's not, maybe it might be harder for Ozzie Guillen to come here because I feel like Ozzie Guillen's not going to just sit back and let Preller, decide everything and decide who's on this coaching staff.
Or does Ozzie Guillen want to manage? He isn't in the same spot as some of these other veteran managers that can hold out and wait for an opportunity or stay on the sidelines and retire. I mean, Ozzie Guillen, you'd have to believe, wants to get back in and has not been interviewed. Forget about getting another job since Miami. What we read today from Kevin Acee and others is he has not been interviewed for a job since being fired by the Marlins in 2012. I think if you're Ozzie Guillen, you want in. And I do believe, by the way, that he would have a large say in his staff. I mean, even with what we've heard about Jace Tingler's staff, that he had, I don't know, some amount of, he played a role at least, at the very least, in approving his staff. Ozzie Guillen's going to play a role. He's going to play a role. And by the way, we have no clue what relationship he has with Ruben Niebla or not. I looked that up throughout the course of the day. I couldn't find a lot, but that's not to say that they don't have some type of working relationship that could work well. So I think Ozzie Guillen would be a really good fit. We'll see. I also think Ron Washington would be a good fit. They're not going to interview him. I think Bruce Bochy would be a very good fit. It sounds like there's not a lot of interest potentially from the Padres side right now. So do you think Ozzie Guillen would be the right fit as the next Padres manager? Reply below in the description. If you haven't subscribed, do it right now. If you want year-round exclusive Padres content, we've got you covered the entirety of this managerial search. Also, make sure to like these videos and follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Until next time, this has been the Wrap-Up Show, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.